what it is. Hey, it's been a while since I made one of these. I know these were supposed to be a bi-weekly thing, but I'm still getting my stuff together, man. But this is a special one. It's just like the time I made the MiHoYo video. Instead of being about my favorite writer, though, we're gonna talk about my favorite video game producer, director, video game guy, Naoki Yoshida. And while I know half of you out there watching this are rolling your eyes thinking, of course he is, you have to know I was present for the whole Final Fantasy XIV novella. The failure, Dalamud falling, the years of anticipation when Yoshi P was called into the project, and he was trying to fix it, the news that were always coming out about how good it was looking, and then the success of A Realm Reborn. Dude, I've been playing this guy's game for a decade, and this man has always exceeded my expectations by showing character, his dealings with the community, how he felt for his fellow creators and brothers in arms. Listen, just the fact that when Square Enix was all about the NFT hype, saying they were gonna invest millions in it, and then he comes out and says, nope, not in my game. Just that should tell you a lot about this man. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was gonna buy Final Fantasy XVI no matter who was in charge of it. If you've seen anything I've made about this franchise, you know I'm that kind of guy, unfortunately. But at the same time, hearing that he was the one now responsible for making it was enough to make me recommend it to people like, just pre-order it, dude, don't worry about it, trust me. And now the demo came out and we're losing our collective minds over it. It's nuts, it's not only me, I've been seeing people that, you know, aren't even fans of the franchise singing high praises for it. The internet is on meltdown, the Mad Lads actually did it. It's so funny, because like from the trailer, we knew exactly what was gonna go on at the end of the prologue. And yet, I still felt like them leaving us with this ending to the prologue and making us wait a week to play the rest of the game should be a crime, dude. But guys, I made this video because just like how I felt with MiHoYo, I feel that every Final Fantasy fan, no matter, you know, how many games you've played, you should experience this. Hell, even if you're not a Final Fantasy fan, actually especially if you're not one. No matter what your stance is about the game, about the system it chose, about the direction it's taking, really, try it out. I'm just gonna tell you, I guess my main worry here is, I guess, an older part of the fan base. And I consider myself part of that part. I guess I just want to shine some light on why the reason is for them choosing this direction from the perspective of an old-time fan. Let's start with a quote from Push Square's interview with Yoshida-san. And I'm sorry guys, I don't have the link for it. I just saved a JPEG, really. And yeah, I know, I'm a failure as a reporter, but then again, I'm not a reporter. So here goes. Yoshi P, what makes a Final Fantasy a Final Fantasy? My answer is simple. You need to have the best story, you need to have the best graphics, you need to have the best battle system, you need to have a lot of content, you need to have the chocobos, you need to have the Moogles. You need to have great sound, and that makes a Final Fantasy. And if you're missing even one of them, the fans will hate you forever. I mean, yeah, he's right. We're kind of a savage bunch. Old boomer fans. And yeah, I know. A lot of you guys out there might be thinking, there's one key ingredient still missing! And I get it. One of the first videos I ever made for my channel was the pilot for Inkrista, the series I want to make about the Final Fantasy games. In there I talk all about how Final Fantasy has been wanting to transition from the traditional turn-based system to an action-based system ever since like 2010, even maybe way before that. And I wrote that video a long time ago. It was about a problem that arose when Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns came out, and there was a vocal part of the fan base that was adamant about the franchise being dead. It was a dark time. I suggest you though go watch the video, it's a good video. And there, ultimately I said that if a turn-based system is so integral for Final Fantasy to be Final Fantasy, then yeah, the Final Fantasy we knew of is dead, because there wasn't going to be one like that anymore. And I say that because Square Enix at the time had come out not once, but countless times saying that they had no intention of ever bringing back a turn-based system for the mainline series. And I still stand by that. I know Yoshi P said that we don't know the future, that Final Fantasy could even go back to pixel-based, but I think that the board, you know, even though Yoshi P is part of the board of directors, I still think that the higher-ups in Square are not going to let anyone do that with the main series anymore. And it's been so long since they kind of made that clear to us that it kind of baffles me that we're still struggling as a fan base to accept that. But I also say in the video that it's not all doom and gloom. We have to look forward with hope, man. Like, I don't know, I love action games, so it might be easy for me to say. But we can't just go out and say that Final Fantasy will fail if it's not turn-based without even trying a game that's fully action. And I say that we have to hope that there might be a Final Fantasy in the future that, even though it's not turn-based, it'll be such a masterpiece that even the purists are going to acknowledge it. And honestly, I think if anyone can do it, this guy can. But here's the thing, all of that is based on this mixed perception that we had as a fan base on what Final Fantasy is supposed to be. The big news here that I want to share with you guys is, well, at least I didn't know that until like last week, is that now I have official information directly from the people who created the franchise about what defines a Final Fantasy. In an internal interview with Square Enix itself, we see the following question. How challenging has it been to do something so new while still maintaining the identity of the Final Fantasy series? This is something that Sakaguchi-san, the father of Final Fantasy, and Kitase-san, Final Fantasy brand manager, have both said to me. Final Fantasy is whatever the director making the latest installment thinks is the best game, the best story at the time. If they create a game with those points in mind, then it's a Final Fantasy. So there's no need to feel constrained by what's come before. Since they said that to me, of course, we hesitated and mulled things over, but I wouldn't say it was challenging. Once we had decided on something, then that was all that mattered. There you go, problem solved. We know what Final Fantasy is now. And you may not agree, but these guys built the franchise. And sure, it might just feel like a get out of jail free card for them to say like, what is Final Fantasy? It's whatever your heart tells you, man. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense to me. Because think about it, from its conception, from the first sequel, and every other iteration after that, the Final Fantasy titles were always standalone, separate narratives that just kept some core elements along. You know, like the Chocobos and the Mugos. It's been its nature to start fresh and provide something new every time. I understand that turn-based has been present in so many titles along the series that to many older fans, it does feel like something that should never change. And believe me, man, I felt like that too for a long time, especially all, you know, throughout my early 20s, my late teens. That was when Final Fantasy was kind of transitioning from that. Which is kind of hypocritical if you think about it, because I always loved action games. I always loved my Bayonettas and Devil May Crys. But even though I told you that, I think this decision of making it action predates Yoshi P's involvement with 16. I think he agrees with that, and he wholeheartedly chose that because he also thought it was the best course of action he could take. Here's what I mean. A good thing about this guy is the relationship he built with his community in Final Fantasy XIV. Let me tell you something he said about working, you know, with 14 alongside developing 16. I think we've lost so much more than we've gained. Like time to sleep, my youth, the pressure has also been heavy. This is just one of those situations where there's a lot of things that we learn because we're on both. But one thing that we really learned due to our time on Final Fantasy XIV is about our communication with the community and being honest with them. That's something that I wanted to maintain while on Final Fantasy XVI as well. That's true, I experienced this firsthand during my decade of gaming on Final Fantasy XIV. The guy's real, he's direct, he's honest about his intentions with a project. That's why we love him so much and we respect him. Well, that and because the game is good. And that's also why he didn't hide any of this. He came right out the door saying, listen, 16 is gonna be action-based, it's gonna be fucking Devil May Cry, and it's not gonna be open world. Period. And I trust the guy. He's legitimately passionate about Final Fantasy as a series. He loves the franchise as much as we do, man. Seriously. The Easter eggs he puts in 14, dude, you gotta experience it to understand it. And if you haven't experienced it, please trust me, man. It's a really tough choice to make. You know you're gonna make people upset no matter what you choose. But I have complete faith that he knew the weight of this decision, and he only made it because he does think it's the best possible step to take and the best direction to go to. So like we were saying, this is how he really feels. Obviously, Final Fantasy is a series that has a very passionate fan base. Did you feel that weight of expectation when making this game? And if so, how did that affect you? I'd be lying if I said there was no pressure. Right now, with the release fast approaching, I honestly have to say that I'm feeling the pressure a little more. Having said that, the Final Fantasy fan base isn't just made up of fans of the entire series. I'd say that a lot of the passionate fans are passionate about specific titles in the series. For example, someone might love Final Fantasy VII while someone else is all about Final Fantasy IX. And yet another person thinks Final Fantasy XII is the absolute best. All these people have different expectations and hopes for what they want to see in a Final Fantasy game. There are some people who think it has to be a turn-based game, and there are some fans who may think the recent Final Fantasy games seem a bit retro and outdated. I just don't find myself playing them these days. Our decision to make Final Fantasy XVI a real-time action game means there will probably be some fans who decide to give the series another go. And there will be some people who say it's not a Final Fantasy if it's not turn-based. It's just not possible to fulfill everyone's expectations in a single game. You know you heard that. You know you heard people saying that. I do, of course, feel bad about not being able to give some people the game they want. And I do feel that pressure. Having said that, Final Fantasy has now reached 35 years of history. By shifting to real-time action for a mainline, numbered Final Fantasy game, I hope that the young developers who will come to make Final Fantasy game in the future can look back at 16 and think, this kind of Final Fantasy is valid as well. We can have more freedom to create this game as we want. I think that's really important to foster, especially if Final Fantasy is to reach its 40th and 50th anniversaries as well. And if you ask me how I deal with the pressure, I guess all I can do is to come out here and speak to people honestly about the game we've created and what kind of game it is. This is awesome, dude. This guy is something else, really. In an industry where I just feel like I get these half-assed excuses for everything, it's a breath of fresh air to me to see a guy just go to you and be honest about what he's feeling, about the things that he knows is going on, and about why he's choosing something, instead of doing like some other companies that go and tell you, you don't know what you want, we know what you want. I hate that. And listen, I don't care who you are, it takes some serious balls to be the producer of a mainline Final Fantasy title and openly announce, listen man, I can't please all of you. It's impossible, it just is. Give my game a shot, dude. I'm putting in it tons of systems for accessibility just so fans that haven't even heard of an action game can have a good time with this and still feel like it is Final Fantasy. Like, what would we do in his position? You guys know how polarized this fan base is. There's no escape, dude. You gotta pick a side and you gotta stick to it, man. At least he was honest with us. You know, I chose this, I think it's the best. Just stick with me, please. Give it a shot. So why did he do it? Why does he think it's the best? Like, we know that openly they said they are basing a lot of things off things like God of War, The Witcher 3, and even heavy story comparisons to Game of Thrones. And also I know they've said that it's just the kind of content that them, you know, Creative Business Unit 3 likes, and that's why it influences what they're doing. But I honestly think the rabbit hole goes a little bit deeper than that. I believe that the main reason is that not just Yoshida-san, but the whole team wants Final Fantasy to become a mainstream sensation, just like all those aforementioned works. And you might think it already is. The fanbase is huge, right? Yeah, but I really don't think them, as the developers, the creators of the game, think the franchise is on that level yet. At least I'm telling you, popularity-wise. And really, as an avid JRPG player myself, dude, Final Fantasy has been one of the least, I'm gonna say, it has been one of the least weeb JRPGs ever since the first one. With their heavy influence of Dungeons and Dragons in the first ones, the Amano character and monster design, they're really not, you know, manga. And it always took inspirations from Western medieval settings, and not even the Game of Thrones thing. Like, Final Fantasy Tactics has been that kind of narrative ever since 1997. So it's not even changing direction in that part to me. If anything, it's an homage to the older titles. And one more thing, what do those franchises that we talked about have in common? Huh? Game of the Year! Why can't Final Fantasy be Game of the Year? Why can't they make a game that is going to appeal to those audiences as well as the older fans and blow the things they based it off out of the water? That's what I understand when I read this. We love our God of Wars and our Assassin's Creeds. We love our Personas and Elden Rings and Ghosts of Tsushima. We love many different games, and we don't go into it thinking JRPG or Western RPG. In approaching our development with Final Fantasy XVI, we take all those games into account, and we want to go above and beyond all of them. Hell yes! This is how I feel a masterpiece is done. In the creative process, you're always going to take inspiration from everything around you. Be it stories, myths, people, experiences you had, all you can. The key is how you put your spin on it, how you bring those things together and make them something unique and special. Even though at its core, it's really just an amalgamation of things you've heard and experienced in your life. How does this not make you hype? He's telling you, we're gonna make it and we're gonna make it better. Yeah. It's talking big, and we're all awaiting the delivery with our dick in our hands. And I made this whole video just to tell you guys how freaking confident I am that it is going to be a masterpiece. Think if you were Yoshi P, man. You've been asked by the whole company, right? Hey, listen, since people love you so much in 14, here's the new mainline entry. Good luck. Pressure's on. This is your shot, dude. Not just Yoshida's, but the whole creative business unit 3. You have to go hard or go home. You gotta make the best absolute product you can. Dude, you're gonna go after the best possible people you can. You're gonna sell your soul if you have to, man. We've known he had good relations with Capcom ever since the Monster Hunter collab. You call over your friends from Capcom, the goats of action games, because that's the connection you have, and you pay them whatever they want. You get the Final Fantasy Tactics scenario writer, dude. The list goes on. They're trying to make the dream team, the Avengers collab of Japanese developers. And I'll be damned if this isn't going to be anything but a franchise-defining experience. Guys, get this game. You don't even have to play the action sequences if you don't want to. It's just how it's designed. But I'll tell you something, you're going to miss out if you don't. The 22nd is here. Let's everybody get immersed in Clive's huge character arc tomorrow. And man, if there's something Endwalker taught me is that I still can have life-changing experiences with narratives, even if I'm freaking 33. Also, if you're kind of against the dark fantasy setting, really, it comes around to what I said about them being passionate on the project. They're gonna make things that they love, and they just love dark fantasy, dude. Listen, man, that's not from now. Dark Knight in 14 is based off Guts. We all love Berserk. Get over it. And when I thought I couldn't like this guy more, he talked shit on Final Fantasy 15. That's even more props to this man, dude. What a legend. That's it. I can't talk anymore. I'm so damn excited, I'm not even gonna go try to sleep. I guess I'll PF on 14 right now or something. That ought to get me to simmer down. See ya.